Alright, here's what we got accomplished today. I got all the body bushings out. I got 4 body bushings in. The thing that was kicking my ass, and it's funny because I showed you guys this yesterday. Oh, here's another thing. This squirrel. Just think I thought about this when I passed over it. Look at that. I think this freaking thing cost me about 50 bucks for this hose because it's jacketed and all kinds of wonderful things. But so this badass right here, you can see I torched this sucker off because I was like, man, it is not happening to try to get that thing off. And they welded it. Not only did they weld it on this side, they welded it on this side up here as well. So I was like, oh hell no, I'm just torching that sucker. So I torched it off, and then it's got 4 bolts. I thought it was 5. It has 4 bolts holding it onto the body. Well, that was completely screwing me, because as dangerous as I thought this was, and I'm sure it was to a point, because this guy welded the bumper to the frame, and then there are 4 bolts holding the frame to the truck, it was very unlikely that that was the body was actually going to come off. Now it did move around some, because when I went to lining up my new bushings and stuff, the body was off a little bit, and and that was the problem. I kept trying to push the truck over to get the holes to line up, and it wouldn't move. And I'm like, what the hell? And I'm doing everything, and I'm trying to lift it up, and I'm underneath it bench pressing, trying to push it over, and all kinds of crap. It just won't go. And I'm like, okay, either I'm weak as hell, or I'm missing something. So I start looking around, all my bushings are clear, they're gone, everything's good. I'm looking at all my straps, and they're all off, and I'm like, well, hell. Come back around here, and I saw those bolts right up through there, and I was like, alright, that's what's going on. So cut those off, took those bolts out. When I took the last bolt out, I had the jack sitting underneath that to where I could just lower it down real easily. But when I did, it slipped and fell off, and my freaking air hose was laying underneath it, and it chopped it in half. Of course, it went crazy and all that, but so that'll cost me 50 bucks for that little screw up. But that was pretty much that, and it hit right here, so a little bit of damage to the door, but no big deal. I can body work that back. So yeah, this thing right here, holy crap. But anyway, so all that said, I picked this thing up and just moved the truck over that way just a little bit, or moved the body over that way just a little bit. Moved easy as could be. I got 4 of my come on, brain, bushings in, and let me let this side down real quick and get this out of the way, because I'm kind of excited about this right here. You can see how I lifted that. I lifted under the rocker boxes, both sides. So let me grab a light, because you're not going to be able to see it without a light. Here. Get this little badass. I love this light. It is awesome. Home Depot special. Alright. Oh yeah, and I caught some shit on fire earlier. That was good. So that bushing is my battery's going dead. I'll be back. Alright, so what I was saying, turn around the other way. I was so rudely interrupted by my dead battery. So hopefully you can see what that is. I've got a couple of spacers that are 1/2-inch spacers up top. And then I've got my regular washer that they gave me with the kit. And then my top bushing. Then my bottom bushing. And these are all loose because I don't have all of them in yet. But that'll actually go up in there and tighten up, snug up against it. I got to figure out what the torque specs are and all that kind of stuff. man, I bet this thing rides like a Cadillac and compared to what it was riding. So yeah, this one's in. This one here is in. You can see there, same deal. Got a couple spacers up above it. And they're not tight, it's still pretty loose. So, and then those two over there. So I've got all the main middle body bushings in. I still got to get, there's 2 more in the back on each side. So 4 more in there, and then 2 up there. I believe that's right. Or maybe there's, nope, my bad. There's 1 more in the back. Nope. There's 1 right there, and then there's 1 in the very back. So yeah, 4, 5, 6. I've got 6 more. But yeah, these are going to be a lot easier since I got everything lined up, and should just drop right on into place. Oh. And you can see what I did there for that, because that was all eat away and jacked up. So I just took one of the plates, one of those little square plates, and put it on top of the floor, and that'll hold the floor down. Before, it wasn't even, that bowl wasn't even touching the floor, so it wasn't doing anything. Had to cut away this piece, which was already rusted and jacked, so I was gonna have to get a new one of those anyway to get to those bolts. So if you didn't know those were under there, if you got a K5, yeah, there's a couple body bushing bolts underneath there on both sides. All these bolts were welded, just to tack welded on each one. There's one here, and then again there's this one back here. Well, I've got here, this came off the truck, so probably what I'm going to do for now is do something like that. That should do what I need it to do as far as holding this down for now, just to pull them in and out and stuff like that. So that's kind of a quick update, maybe not so quick. Got to use the hot wrench again today a bunch. That bushing up there, oh my god, it was a freaking monster nightmare. Here's another one of those. Maybe I'll use that one because it's a little bit bigger hole. I don't know, we'll see. Either that or I'll make this hole bigger. About the same size, really. Anyway, squirrel. So, what else? That's pretty much it right now. So hopefully I'll get the rest of these put in. I'll get them all locked down, and I'm hoping that my door gaps are gonna cure up, and they look like they already have, because this was touching literally. So I think when those are pulled down and these are pulled down, I bet this opens this body gap back up to where this door shuts a lot better and smoother. Before, man, I was having to lift up, and it was just big pain. But I had no idea that those bushings made that big of a difference on these. But man, they do. So, and I may call this like K5 Blazer body bushings. So I'll go through real quick what I've got, what I did real quick, just to kind of, you know, share with some guys that might be doing this, because I've not seen a video on this. So you buy your kit. It doesn't come with the bolts. I did the 1-inch lift here. I just did some of these little guys right here to lift them up just a 1/2 inch, only because of the big block. You won't have to do that if you're just doing regular body bushings. I went to basically a hardware store and bought just really long ones. These are, I've got a couple of short ones. These will be probably for the radiator support. You can get online and tell you what size bolts, but I went longer on all the bolts than it specifies, because I knew I was going to do the 1/2 inch body lift. So yeah, get your nuts and your washers and stuff like that. What they suggest is that you get everything out, you only loosen one side, which I didn't. Mine were all jacked anyway, so I just took them all out. I lifted one side up under the rocker box, supported it, went and took all the old bushings out, and they want you to do all the bushings on one side at a time, then go over and do all the bushings on the other side at a time. Well, the problem was for me, I couldn't do that simply because and I didn't know it at the time, it was holding me back. So I could have done it had I taken this off first. Now this is probably only on my application because that big bastard is probably not supposed to be on there. I don't know if it came factory with that or a dump truck or what the hell, but anyway, so yeah, once you get that loose, you can actually move that body around fairly easily. Might take a couple guys, but then yeah, you just go in and put your stuff in like it says on the instructions, and then lock her down. It's really not that hard. It's hard for me because everything on this truck was just rusted completely out, and I had to use the torch and all kinds of stuff. But for the most part, it really wasn't, just time consuming on the largest part. But what else? I took a couple of ground straps loose. There's a couple of ground straps. Other than that, I didn't take anything loose. So for the most part, yeah, your ground straps. Oh, I take that back. This here, your filler neck, you'll need to take that loose. And all I did was pull it back, stuffed a rag in it. I just pulled it back away from that, stuffed a rag in it, moved it out of the way. And I may not even have needed to do that because it may have stretched up enough to lift up enough, but regardless, I did that. So yeah. Here's the back one. It's still in there. I need to jack the truck back up and pull that out. But yeah, no big deal. And then just put your stuff in there, your new pieces, and you'll be ready to rock and roll. I may actually get away with some of those shorter bolts back here, actually. One thing I was going to say, I did catch some of my bushings on fire when I was cutting through this, so if you have to torch anything, be aware, grab you some water, which I have somewhere right here. Grab you a spray bottle, because this rubber will burn, and if it starts burning, believe me, it doesn't want to go out. Rubber loves to burn. It turns into like a freaking hot marshmallow. But yeah, any kind of rubber, man, it'll burn and burn and burn. We catch car fires and the tires will be on fire, and man, they're the hardest things to put out. They just don't want to go out, and they'll explode when they're on fire. They explode. They'll bust basically, and it'll be really loud. It scares the hell out of you. But when we approach the vehicle, we come up from the side like this, and we'll start. First thing we do is usually they're under the hood, so we'll grab a pry bar on on this. You could probably just pop it, obviously, but these new cars, a lot of times the interior's on fire, and that little pull thing mechanism is, yeah. So what we do is we take a pry bar, stick in there, and we crank that thing down, and it bows this up, and we shove a nozzle in there and put most of that out. But a lot of times it's caught these tires on fire. Well, those will boom, and yeah, that'll wake you up if you're sleeping. So pretty funny, actually. I've had a lot of new guys take off running. I'm freaking cracking up because I've been doing it so long that you know what's going to happen. Usually if the tire's on fire, you're expecting it, but the new guys aren't. So alright, that's it for today, and little progress, actually a lot of progress. That doesn't seem like much, but for me, man, that was a big day to get all those out and to get a couple of them in and kind of get things cleaned up a little bit. And so there you go, one step closer to trying to figure this bad boy out, and hopefully that will raise that up enough to where it'll get that away from that motor away from the firewall. Now you can see it's quite a ways away from it right now, but that is only because this motor is sitting at a positive 2 degrees, and from my understanding it's supposed to sit at a negative 2 degrees, so that'll actually come back down. And I guess I could let that down just a tad and see what it does while we're talking about it. Better let this down a little bit. See if we can make her go down to 2 degrees-ish, somewhere in that area. Actually, I moved that thing quite a bit forward a while ago, so it's really not sitting on those very well. Probably need to push that whole motor back. Yeah, that won't be accurate because I got to push that whole motor back. Let me bring it back. Alright, so as you can see, the mounts are damn close to lined up. I haven't got underneath there to see if they're completely lined up. And why I say that is because, well, it probably wouldn't be, because the bell housing has about a 1/2 inch. Now remember, I had 2 inches before, so I've only got about a 1/2 inch left before it actually mates. And as you can see there, I'm still going to have to clearance that because it's touching, but that's not going to be a big deal. This has already been hacked on somehow, so I'll take some of this out, clearance that out of the way. We'll get her slid back and get it in place. This is pretty close to 2 degrees. You can see my distributor cap is completely clear. This valve cover here, I won't be able to use these, obviously. As you can see there, it's pretty much touching, and that may be pushing this a little bit forward too. I need to pull this one off, but I just kind of wanted to throw that in there, just kind of see where I was at. So yeah, I think we're gonna make this work. Be pretty cool. Ride a little better until I can actually get it to where I can tear it down, take the whole body off, redo the frame, everything. So yeah, and I might fall in love with that big block in here and just leave it. I don't know, we'll see. Of course, at 6 miles a gallon, I don't know about that, but anyway, yeah, that's it for today. Thought I'd take you along for that, and I got to go in the house, so we'll talk to you guys next time.